Hi, I'm Megan. Welcome to today's live reading of Rise of the Fallen by Bethany Summers, presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Join me. Chapter 1. Mary Donahoe pulled into the dojo with Marley by her side in the front seat of the kid car, his head out the window enjoying the breeze and sense of approaching spring. The craziness of the past year seemed to be largely behind her. Life was sweet. She would be graduating in a few months and heading off to LA for college on a track and field scholarship and with Marley in tow. Alyssa and Jake were waiting for their admission decisions, but with fingers crossed, all their dreams would be realized in the next few days. All three of them were tentatively looking for a place close to the university they could all share, and one where the landlord was willing to accept Marley as their fourth roommate. Still, Mary recognized their joyfully, carefully curated hopes and dreams might never see fruition if her secret life was intent on blowing up her real life, the way it did last year about this time. Before she committed to a lease with her best friend and Jake for the following year, Mary figured she needed to find out what the celestial side of things had in store for her. Even though there were no recent attacks from the dark side, as the team was calling their opponents and whatever all this turned out to be, the feeling was growing on her lately she was facing a fast approaching decision she needed to make. The nagging only grew more insistent every time she tried to shove it back down and bury it in her subconscious. What began as a niggling little worry about the time the calendar turned to a new year was now a daily hammering to stop evading and decide, for God's sake. They didn't have all eternity to wait on her, thus her discomfort as she parked the car and cut the ignition. She turned to Marley. Let's go, boy. Might as well get this next step over with. I've already made up my mind. It's only fair to the others to have a chance to make their own choices. Marley barked his agreement and followed her from the car, not bothering to wait for her before he approached the entrance to the dojo. The owner of the dojo, Jack, looked up at their entrance. Hey, Mary, I was just about to send out a search party, he remarked, a question in the glance he sent her way. Considering the aforementioned craziness of the previous 12 months, Mary couldn't blame him for his concern over her unusual tardiness. Sorry I'm late. There's something I need to discuss with all of you. It's taken me a while to figure out how, she confessed, a little hesitantly, meeting his probing glance. Mary felt Jack's surprise at her announcement echoing through the assembled team members, all present and accounted for. It was obvious they were waiting for her before beginning practice, just in case they needed to race to her rescue. It wouldn't have been the first time one of them needed rescuing. Nodding, holding her glance, Jack suggested, All right, why don't we all sit down and you can tell us what you've been carrying alone for the past few weeks. Mary nodded. With Marley at her side, she crossed the room and joined the others, forming a circle and taking their seats on the center of the mat. When they were all settled, all eyes turned expectantly in Mary's direction. On an audible sigh, Mary launched into what she assumed was about to prove an awkward explanation. I've been summoned, she announced badly, diving right into things. By who? Jack asked. Mary shrugged. Not sure. The voices don't always bother to introduce themselves, but they've been nudging more insistently lately. I get on with it. They don't have all of eternity to stand around waiting for me to make a decision. A decision about what? Jack wanted to know. Mary shrugged again. Again, not sure, but I think they want to confirm my commitment level to whatever this is. Truth is, I think they want to confirm all of yours, too. Brows raised, Jack confirmed. So we've all been summoned? Feels like it. I guess they want to know who they're dealing with. Full disclosure, I've been tossing my options around for the past few months. I'm done tossing. I need to go back. To the trail, to the cliff trail, to the summit where I used to meet with Mariel. And we're being asked to accompany you? Lifting one shoulder in a your guess is as good as mine kind of shrug, Mary replied, I think, only if you're truly committed to taking this next step. We've all had time, quiet time, with no creepy guy attacks or fights to the death on the beach, to mull over our commitment to seeing whatever this is through. Frankly, I've been doing a lot of mulling, even before the nudging started. I think our quiet time is about to come to an end. This feeling's been growing on me since the start of the year. This break was a nice change from last year's adventure. My best friend, Alyssa, and her boyfriend will hopefully receive their admission letters to LA in a few days. We're looking for off-campus housing the three of us can share, a place that will let me bring Marley. The track coach has reached out with the summer practice schedule. It's all starting to get real. This life, my real life, is unfolding in ways I never would have dreamed possible a year ago. But the truth is, I'm not the same girl anymore. Those dreams no longer mean to me what they once did. I plan on answering the summons. I need to know if any of you will be joining me. No pressure. Everyone needs to do what is best for them. That's insulting, Mary. Do you think we're about to desert you now? Jack demanded, irritated. I'm sorry, Mary quickly apologized. I wasn't trying to be insulting, but it's time to get real, Jack. Everyone has shared bits and pieces of their stories, how they ended up here, but there's still a lot left unsaid, a lot glossed over. We need to know everyone's commitment level. There's no blame in declining to move forward. Look at my family. My grandmother returned her gifts. My mother apparently threw hers away. I don't really know what happened to my aunt, except for my grandmother's assurance. Melissa checked in, and she's fine, wherever she is in eternity. So, I have to assume she either failed or walked away. I am the only one left. I think we need to know what my plans are before proceeding with whatever the next step is. Jack held her glance for a few moments before nodding. Fine, I'll go first. You're right. I glossed over a lot of details about how I ended up here. The basic background I shared with everyone is the truth. My wife and I operated a karate studio. We were talking about starting a family. We were living the dream. I was the one responsible for blowing it up. Like you said about the nudging, the knowledge I was supposed to be somewhere else, something important, kept building inside me, haunting me until I could no longer deny it. I knew whatever it was here, not just out west, but here in Laguna Beach. I also knew my wife was not going to be on board with blowing up our lives. Our families were back east. The dojo was successful. We were fully engaged in our plans to open a second location. I tried to ignore the nudging. I tried to convince myself I was crazy. It was just the stress of thinking about having kids, the money strain, and the commitment of opening a second dojo. Nothing worked. I couldn't talk myself out of the knowing I was meant to be here. We argued over it a lot, constantly. Then my wife got sick. Weeks. It was only weeks. On her deathbed, she said to me, whoever the hell she was here, just like I claimed. With her last words, she told me she hoped she was worth it. When Jack's voice trailed off, a heavy silence settled over the room. Then Jack lifted his intent gaze to Mary's. Don't ever question my commitment again. Mary nodded. I think I met her once. I was 13 or maybe 14, before Mariel, but by then I'd run across other spirits and sometimes engaged them in conversation. One day, a spirit approached me. She used the same words. She said she hoped I was worth it. I had no idea who she was or what she meant, and she wasn't inclined to enlighten me. I'm sorry. I think the price is part of it. I really love my family. I know it's not like the husband and wife deal, but if I keep moving forward with this, I'm going to blow up my family. My mom lost her sister and father to this. Her worst fear is losing one of her daughters to it too. She'll blame my grandmother. Everyone will blame me. She reached up to brush aside the tears filling her eyes. Yet, I can't pretend this isn't real. My grandmother says I can return the gift of seeing angels and other life forms. It's what she did. I asked her if she regretted her decision. She said she didn't know if she regretted it or not. I know. I know I would regret it every day for the rest of my life. It's my decision. I'm sorry it will hurt the people I love, but I'm moving forward towards what I truly believe is my life's purpose. And if there is such a thing as destiny, this is it for me. Jack nodded, holding her glance, while silence descended over the room. Mary turned to where Luke sat across the circle. You're one of them, aren't you? Like my grandfather? Luke appeared stunned by her comment. I have no idea what you're talking about. Mary shook her head at his denial. The day in the parking lot. I've been thinking about it a lot. You showed up out of the blue, just like creepy guy. No one was there, and then he was, and then you were. It was like you both just dropped out of the sky. What day in the parking lot? Jack demanded, his irate glance swinging between Mary and Luke. You never told him about what happened with Creepy Guy? Mary asked Luke, ignoring Jack's question. Didn't you? Luke countered. Someone better tell me now what the hell happened with Creepy Guy, Jack inserted into their face-off. Mary deferred to Luke. His intent glance clung to hers for a waited moment before he turned to the others and shared the details of his impromptu rescue. He disappeared, like the others on the beach who went after Lillian. Creepy Guy disappeared when you seemingly magically appeared on scene, Mary insisted. I didn't magically appear, Luke protested. I was there for a meeting with the administration. I saw you with Creepy Guy and walked over to find out what the hell you were doing alone with him in a deserted parking lot. And he didn't disappear. He left when he realized you weren't alone. No one said anything. Jack turned an inquiring brow in Mary's direction. She ignored the question in his gaze and instead turned back to Luke. If we can't trust each other, there's no point in us pretending we're a team. We're going to lose. Luke held her gaze. The others waited silently for one of them to back down. Luke sighed audibly and, thrusting one hand through his hair in a fit gesture of frustration, admitted, Fine, fine. I didn't have a meeting with the administration. That was bullshit. I was on. He hesitated and then filled in delicately. A date, when the feeling you were in trouble crashed into me so strongly I couldn't ignore it. Like you said, it was for you when you knew Lillian was in trouble. I tried to brush it aside. I was engaged with other matters. I tried hard to convince myself I was imagining things. He hesitated and then shook his head. It was like the nudging both of you just described. I caved, telling myself I was an idiot, but I caved. I excused myself from my date, activated the location tracking on my phone, and raced like hell to get to you. Besides, seeing you alone in a deserted parking lot with Creepy Guy when I arrived, I received a $250 citation for speeding down the 405 for my troubles. Mary's lips twitched before her amusement dissolved into full-blown laughter. The rest of the team was struggling with their own amusement at Luke's confession. Har har, Luke threw out in Mary's direction once she was able to get her laughter under control. And just so we're clear, I would like to echo Jack's sentiment. Don't ever question my commitment again. Mary grinned. I'm not convinced about the not appearing and disappearing out of the blue, but I'll let it slide for now. The mini crisis averted, silence fell over the room while the other team members surreptitiously looked toward one another to see which of them was going next on the true confessions deal. Goose was the first to cave. I don't know anything about appearing or disappearing, and I didn't hold back with my original story about what brought me here, but I should probably confess to my actions after my arrival, particularly after Mary's arrival. When all eyes focused on Goose, Jack encouraged, We're listening. Goose nodded. I ran a background check on you, and then on all of you when each of you joined the team. I like to know who I'm partnering with. Everything was kosher until Mary showed up and started talking about angels and shit. I figured this was where I'd jump off the crazy express, but before I jumped ship, I did a deep dive on you and your family, he continued, speaking directly to Mary now. Not much on you, but what we already knew. Your parents, grandparents, and siblings were all clean. I dug a little deeper into your aunt's disappearance, pulled the original police reports. There was a little more in there than what was made public. Like what? Mary asked anxiously. A witness claimed to see your aunt apparently arguing with somebody who wasn't there. The witness figured she was whacked out on drugs or something. Where did the witness see her? Mary asked in a hushed tone. At the top of the cliff trail, where you used to hike to visit your angel friend Mariel. Mary shook her head, shocked by his disclosure. I don't understand. Why didn't the police say anything to my grandmother about a witness seeing Melissa? Goose shrugged. From what I could tell, they assumed she fell off the cliff into the ocean. They were waiting for her body to wash up on shore. From the drugs she was whacked out on, Mary concluded. That's my read, Goose admitted. But her body was never recovered, Mary stated the obvious, and then added, as the notion occurred to her. Did the police report say what day it was the witness saw my aunt on the top of the cliff trail? Goose reached into his pocket for his phone. March 20th, the day after her disappearance. Today's March 18th, Mary pointed out. Tomorrow's the vernal equinox, the first day of spring. Can you check if the first day of spring was March 20th, the year my aunt disappeared? Getting a sense of where Mary's question was leading, tension fell over the room. Goose turned his focus back to his phone. When the answer revealed itself, he looked up and met Mary's anxious glance. Yes, the vernal equinox was March 20th that year. Mary nodded and then looked down to find her hands clenched in Marley's fur. He whined an inch close enough to lay his head in her lap. Mary, Jack inserted into the heavy silence. She raised her gaze to his intent one. That's why the nudging was becoming so hard to refuse. Tomorrow's the first day of spring. I need to go at dawn tomorrow. I think Melissa was summoned the same day. For whatever reason, she apparently didn't like what whoever summoned her had to say. She didn't commit suicide, nor was she killed there. Her body would have washed up on the beach. She shook her head, trying to wrap her head around what she had just learned about her aunt's disappearance. Is it possible the Cliff Trail Peak is some kind of vortex to other dimensions or worlds like Sedona and some other places around the world are supposed to be? No one answered, but Goose's, Jesus, vortexes was heard loud and clear around the room. Lillian, who was sitting next to him, laughed and cuffed him on the side of his head. Haven't you learned yet, Horatio? There's more to heaven and earth, and blah, 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 however the rest of that saying goes. The others laughed. Goose was already busy researching the history of vortexes on his phone. Anyone else have a confession to make? Jack asked. When no one answered, Jack turned to Mary. I'm going to skip the rest of practice, if there's even going to be a practice. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but I need to spend what's left of today with my family. When Jack nodded, Mary confirmed, I'll be at the trailhead by 5. I'll wait until 5:15 and then I need to begin the ascent. I have a feeling who's ever not there by then isn't supposed to be there. We'll all be there, Jack assured her. Mary shook her head, contradicting him. No, at least one of us won't be there. I can't see the reason, but it is okay if I say goodbye to everyone now, just in case. Everyone stood, looking at each other, unnerved by Mary's conviction. One of them wouldn't be there before dawn to climb the trail with her. Mary turned and hugged each of them in turn. She thanked them for watching out for her and for fighting by her side. She assured them that it would be okay if they weren't there in the morning. Everyone was called to play their own part in what was coming. When she finished saying her goodbyes, she told them, I'll be at the trailhead by 5 tomorrow. Yeah, Jack inserted with an attempt at humor to lighten the mood. How are you going to explain the early wake-up call to your parents? Mary smiled. Team bonding exercise. Good one. I'll see you in the morning, he assured her. Just remember, Mary, you're not alone in this. Do you think Melissa was alone? Do you think maybe she never found her team? Jack shrugged. There's no way of knowing, but maybe she wasn't meant to. Mary nodded, waved goodbye to everyone, and turned, with Marley by her side, toward the exit. I'll walk out with you, Luke volunteered, and surprised, Mary turned to him. They left the dojo together. Who didn't see that coming? Lillian asked with a laugh, bringing amused grins to the faces of the remaining team members. And since it seems tonight is a goodbye party for at least one of us, I vote we head over to Jack's place and make it count. Outside in the parking lot, Luke turned to Mary as they approached her car. You okay? I'm not sure. I think I'm okay as I can be under the circumstances. I feel more settled now that the decision part is behind me. Or just beginning, Luke pointed out. Mary nodded. Then, instead of unlocking the driver's door, she turned to Luke. I think I'm going to walk along the beach for a little while. I need to process everything I learned about my Aunt Melissa's disappearance before I go home and face my family. Fair enough. I'll come along to keep an eye on you. Mary smiled, and together they walked toward the beach.